Hi YouTube, welcome back to my channel. I thought we'd have a bit of a Suqqu Sunday today because I just got a delivery of two items from the latest Suqqu release. I don't know how many of you are that familiar with Suqqu. I kind of feel that they are a very underappreciated or represented luxury makeup brand, certainly in Europe, and I'm guessing probably America as well. And I think that's largely, they're a Japanese brand. I think that's largely due to the distribution issues. They have been extremely difficult to get hold of, certainly here in the UK. I think there was a long period when I was only aware of being able to get them from Selfridges and occasionally Phoenix. You can now get them from Harrods and Liberties and online at Cult Beauty. But having said you can get them all those places, you see the advertisements for a release, and in fact, you never ever get to see those products on the counter or the websites, or they're sold out in nanoseconds. So they are difficult to get, and I don't think they get the overall publicity because of that, even on YouTube. Although there are loads of videos, Asian videos, unsurprisingly, tend to predominate with the products. And it's a shame because they really are good quality products. The eyeshadows in particular are very interesting. They do interesting colour combinations and they apply really well and apply in a way where you can really combine the shades or apply them over each other to achieve different looks without getting kind of a muddy mess with the colours. So I like them for that. Their skin products, their foundations are actually nice too. The lipsticks, all of the range tend to be nice, but as I say, difficult to get. Price-wise, they are approximately the same prices as Chanel, a bit cheaper than Tom Ford, sometimes a bit cheaper than Chanel. I'm thinking maybe the lipsticks in particular, those products that but the eye products are, well, I was going to say pretty comparable, but Chanel's just had a price hike, so maybe a bit cheaper. Let's look what I got. First of all, it's a slightly confusing collection. I got mine from Selfridges, where they're advertising it as the Autumn Winter 22 collection. But in fact, if you search Autumn Winter 22, they already brought out a collection for that. And elsewhere, it seems to be called the Pre-Holiday collection. That's what it's called on Suqqu's own website. There are two eye palettes. I've only got one of them. One which is definitely the cool toned one. Both palettes are said to be Iceland inspired and to reflect the winter aurora borealis. They're both said to contain one matte shade. I'm struggling to tell whether either of these are mattes. I would call them both satins. But maybe this lilac is a matte. So just so you know, this one is 119. Any Japanese speakers, please forgive me. Tuyaku. I don't know what that means. And then there's another one which is much warmer and contains kind of browns and yellow. It was the yellow that put me off, but it's actually a pretty palette as well. So Suqqu eye colours tend to be a little more subtle than some of the luxury brands, but I don't think that means they're not pigmented. That's going on soft as silk. What am I going to do here? Maybe take off my watch. Give me a little bit more. Not very organised for this video, am I? As usual, you say. There you go. That's pretty pigmented for a Suqqu brown. You can see that's very cool toned, almost greyish brown with a definite satin in there. Then the lilac, I think this is probably meant to be the matte. and you can see that's quite a delicate shade, which I think is going to look very pretty on the eye. And then I like palettes with a white or a silver in. Oh my goodness, this is so pretty just to look at on the finger. I like having something to lighten up the inner corner, but this is kind of more like a glitter topper. And as I say, these work very well kind of on top of each other, more than the kind of glitters from, for example, Tom Ford. Here's the blue. You can see that's actually quite pigmented with some glitter. There might be a bit of fallout on that one. And I find these shadows often apply, obviously, with a brush as usual, but even fingers work quite well. So, I mean, that's a very cool toned palette, but very pretty. And so I'm looking forward to trying that out on the eyes. To note there, if you go on certainly the Selfridges website, the illustration of the colours isn't terribly accurate. This blue looks much more kind of teal in my monitor. I'm not at all disappointed with this shade as it is. I think it's really, really pretty. And I wonder if the same is true, actually, of the other palette, and the colours may be a bit more delicate and subtle in real life. So there are two eye palettes. Now, unfortunately, certainly on the Selfridges website, this one that I've got is now out of stock. The other one is still available when I looked. I say it's out of stock. It's out of stock as an individual palette. You can buy it as part of a set, but the set is quite expensive. It's £160. The palette is 48, by the way, because the set contains the cheek colour that I'm about to show you, an eyeliner, a lipstick, and a liquid, the matching liquid eyeshadow. The liquid eyeshadows, I think, are called Glow Touches, and they're really pretty if you work well with liquid eyeshadows. I think Suqqus are some of the best. Even I can just about work with them, but I'm not really a fan of liquid eyeshadows with my older crepey eyes. I find them quite hard to work with because they dry too quickly. And there are also two pretty winter lipsticks, a kind of berry and a pink, kind of frosty pink. And Suqqu lipsticks are very nice. So those are nice products. And you can, as I say, buy the whole set of them in the warm and the cool combinations. Would be a really beautiful Christmas gift. I got one of the cheek colours. I got the one that matches the cool tone palette. There's a warm toned one, as you would expect. Very slim, nice, compact. Opens very easily and smoothly. Really nice quality. And here's the way the blush palettes work. You can see quite a lot of shimmer in that plum colour. That's a really nice winter blush colour. And then a kind of icy blue melting into a lilac highlighter. So you can kind of use the colours, well, certainly for the big one individually or together. Now, there's a tiny little brush which is not suitable really as a blush brush. You could get away with it with a highlight, I guess. So you can see a bit of a subtle glow there, applied with the finger. Still pretty subtle, as you can see, but very pretty. And then the blush is also not tremendously pigmented, comparing the palette with how it appears applied with a finger on my hand. And of course you're going to be applying it with a brush, either stiff if you want a deeper, more impact colour, or a soft brush for diffusing the colour a bit. So don't be alarmed by the shade in the palette. They're a lot more subtle when applied. Now, I haven't tried this with a proper brush on the cheeks, but my previous experiences of Suqqu blushes, which is not extensive, I think I've only had 2 over quite a number of years, is pretty positive. The quality of all the products is good. I can't remember how much the blush was. Less than the 48, I'm guessing about 30 something. I mean, certainly, you know, below the Tom Fordy type prices. So those are the 2 picks I made from this particular collection, which, as I say, is inspired by Iceland and the Aurora Borealis for really winter holiday, although I think they'll come out with a holiday collection as well. And if you can get your hands on Suqqu, I do think they're a really nice quality brand, particularly if you like subtler makeups, if you're pale skinned and perhaps mature skinned and you know want something that's very workable on a day-to-day basis but has some unusual colour combinations just to spice things up a little bit, then Suqqu are a good option. But as I say, not always easy to come by and quite difficult really if you want to see and play with the products before you order them. I just ordered mine online. But I'm guessing you can see them in Liberty in person, and you certainly, if you're lucky, can at Selfridges. So I don't know if there are any other Suqqu fans out there. I know in the rest of Europe, aficionados really like Suqqu, and we all complain about the difficulty of getting our hands on them before other people. So it may be that some of you have used Suqqu out there. I don't know how popular they are, if at all, in America. I'd be interested to hear. Anyway, that's all for today, and I hope you're all doing well. I do have some other new products, odds and ends from Chanel, from Charlotte Tilbury even, and from Gucci, which I'll hopefully get to show you in the next week or so. But until then, bye for now.